and Larry Albetti.
And now, to begin the Kragen Auto Parts 151 today here at Sears Point Raceway, I have Paul Dudley, Director of Merchandising for Kragen Auto Parts.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
With a thunderous roar, 34 Nascar Craftsman Truck Series entries come to life at Sears Point Raceway. The front row, the series champion, and the series point leader. But that is not the whole story. Last week, Ron Hornaday, the series point leader, was having a bad day. Nearly a lap down to the leader of the Black 3, Mike Skinner. But things could get worse. And lo and behold, they did. Hornaday cut down a tire and spun. His first finish outside the top 10 all year. Insult to injury, a penalty in the pits. Mike Skinner, second in points, having a great day, leading the most laps at Wilkesboro, but then he's into the wall. He and his crew made a great recovery, finished ninth and gained 41 points. And Jack Sprague, third in the points, patiently worked his way toward the front all day, then held off number 98 Butch Miller for a strong second place. He gained 73 points on Hornaday. Suddenly, three men are in a battle for the championship with 4 races to go. Culturally, geographically, by any yardstick you want to use, we have come a long, long way from North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Last week we were talking about moonshine. Now here we are in the wine country of Northern California. Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Despain, along with Benny Parsons. We have the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series at Sears Point Raceway. So much has changed in these last 3 short tracks that we've followed. Looked like the championship was a 2-man battle. Now it's a whole new deal.
It's a whole new deal. Last week at North Wilkesboro, Ron Hornaday finally had trouble, and a lot of trouble. He led Skinner 91 points back and Sprague. He's just 98 points back in the battle for the championship. They're both back in it. And a road course, man, this place is so tough. 34 trucks starting today. If you have trouble, a lot of trucks are going to finish on the lead lap. You can lose a lot of points. The thing could change. The points lead could change hands today.
I don't want to give everything away, but the bottom line on truck racing on a road course, this is going to be wild.
Well, the truck's pulling out onto the racetrack, and we can tell you that pit strategy should not be a factor. What should be a factor is the fact that it will be a driver's race, because they're going to have 3 mandatory yellows, 2 for fuel, 1 for the mandatory pit stop and the halfway point. That's when you can change tires and everything else, work on the vehicles. So we should see a real shootout. And if you do lose track position, if you come in under the yellow, you're going to find yourself back about 30th. But it's been done. Ernie Irvan did it in the Winston Cup race. Remember, Benny?
Yeah, I remember very well. Had to pit on the parade lap, had to start at the rear of the field, and came back and won the race.
We've had a lot of spectacular moments at Sears Point over the years. It's going to be spectacular indeed today as the NASCAR Craftsman trucks get set to go 60 laps, 151 miles here in the beautiful wine country. We'll take a break and come back with the lineup. The trucks are on the warm-up lap, preparing for the green flag to start this 60 laps of excitement. Let's take a look at your starting lineup. Mike Skinner is on the pole. He's the champion. Ron Hornaday alongside of the pole sitter.
Back in row 2 is Jack Sprague, 3rd place in the points, and Joe Ruttman, good road racer.
First Dodge in the field will be Rich Bickle, starting 5th alongside John Nemechek with a good qualifying run.
Back in the 4th row, Rick Corelli and Dave Resendez celebrating his 37th birthday today.
Kenny Hendrick lines up alongside Doug George, the rookie of the Ortho Lawn Care Products Ford.
And in the change, Dorsey Schrader in the 98 Rebestas truck and Nathan Bucky in 75, row 6.
Ricky Johnson gets back in the Penske South truck for this weekend only and starts alongside Mike Bliss in the Ford.
Walker Evans and Butch Miller will start the 28 truck in row 8.
Ryan Refner alongside John Pox from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
And Rob Rizzo from Connecticut and Jimmy Hensley.
Steve Portengay and Bill Sedgwick make up the next row, a pair of Chevys.
Rick McRae hasn't raced for a long time. He's back in T.J. Clark.
Lance Norick out of Oklahoma alongside Kenny Allen from Shelby, North Carolina.
And Wayne Jacks was scratched. He used his truck up yesterday, and Bob Keselowski.
Bob Reback starts 29th, sharing the row with Mark Montanas from Ukiah, California.
Lonnie Cox and Mike Holbert in the 16th row.
And the last two starting spots belong to Andy Gensman and Mark Rowe. As we take a look at the trucks with whom we will be riding, the drivers with whom we'll be riding, this is Mike Bliss's view of the world. Here we're on board with Walker Evans in the Dana Dodge. 1-800-COLLECT would be Brian Ruffner, of course, the Cintas Rookie of the Year leader. And the Oklahoma City view of the world comes from Lance Norris as he carries the fourth of our cameras. And they're off turn 11 and getting set for what should be an interesting battle on an interesting racetrack. The green about to go in the air and kick things off as the champ and the point leader bring them down for the green. Here we go.
Hornaday trying awfully hard to get a jump on the pole sitter. And he did it.
And Hornaday pulls it off. The outside pole works the best. Maybe a little frustrated that Skinner took the pole away yesterday. Hornaday had broken the track record on the first qualifying attempt of the day. Skinner came back late in the day and took the spot away. There's Bliss trapped up on the outside. Just before the green fell, Lonnie Cox went to the pits with an apparent ignition problem. They were able to quickly solve that, and he resumed his place in the starting lineup, but he has now come back to pit road.
There he is with the hood up trying to repair the truck.
That's a real disappointment. Now, that's actually Bob Straight's truck. Lonnie had engine trouble, so they renumeraled his machine, and he's back on pit road, so it looks like it's going to be a long trip to California and a short day.
There we go. The turn 7 for the first time, and Joe Rummon has fought his way into the third spot, getting by Jack Sprague.
An uncharacteristically good qualifying run for Ruttman in the LCI telecommunications truck, the Jack Roush-owned machine. He runs strong every place he goes, but qualifying has been a problem for those guys. They managed to do it very well here today, and they've capitalized on it, turning a fourth place starting spot into third on the racetrack as Skinner keeps the heat on Hornaday.
He is literally pushing Ron Hornaday towards turn 11, wanting to lead that lap. It's a breaking corner, great place to pass, and Skinner does it.
Well, he set that up beautifully, and Hornaday didn't contest it, but now we'll try to come back off the inside, and they're doorpost to the finish line. Hornaday is going to have the spot by just about the length of the fence.
And he will retain the lead. Looks like Skinner had it, and Hornaday brings it back. That's turn 1. Here's turn 2 up the hill, right-hander. They'll go to turn 3, which is a left-hander. Here's 3. And right back to the right, 3-8. Down a hill.
Walker Evans has reportedly slowed down a little bit as we jump on board with Bliss, then with Evans, and he's come to a stop. Walker Evans Dodge stopping on lap 2. He appears to be out of harm's way here, but we'll see what happens in terms of the yellow. He's still just off the racing surface and backing up, trying to get to the pit entrance.
Yeah, that's right at the start-finish line. He's trying desperately to get back to his pits. He's got it in reverse, and it sounded like it was not running properly. It sounded like the engine was misfiring.
The officials working with him here to try to get that truck clear of traffic so they don't have to throw the caution. As the leaders continue to battle, Skinner and Hornaday have been the story in this series from the drop of the first green flag a year ago at Phoenix. And for the moment, Hornaday is opening up a bit of a gap over Skinner. The race is for third as Sprague goes to work on Ruttman, and Sprague's using up every bit of the road.
He's hitting those ripples and getting those tires off the ground.
We've seen the Winston Cup cars come here for the last few years, back to place, and now NASCAR's fastest growing division. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series coming here for the Kragen 151, the second appearance of the trucks. And they put on a good show on this road course.
Rich Bickle, Rick Corelli, Dave Resendez.
Hornaday was spectacular in the preliminary event here. The Winston West Series ran a 40-lapper, and Hornaday made some spectacular moves for the lead, but then ultimately fell victim to a series of mechanical problems and ultimately a crash.
Birthday boy Resendez in the QBC truck as he tries to chase down Rick Corelli.
Corelli, who says of road racing, there are 11 turns on this racetrack, so I just keep waiting to see which one I'm going to have trouble with. Evans has made it back to the pit. There's work on the Dodge here.
And the 14 car, Mark Robe, is slow. That red truck is Mark Robe. And that looks like he has it going again, back up to speed.
Comes out of Benton, Kansas. He was your last place starter here. Let's find out more about Walker Evans' problem from Marty Reed.
It looks like ignition is going to be the disease of the day. I mean, Lonnie Cox on the first lap. Here's Walker Evans in lap number 2. They are working on it. It actually sounds like it's just missed. In fact, they're trying to fire it again. Well, it sounds a little better there, but it's still not right.
Engine roar worth 1,000 words in that case. They continue to work on the Dodge as Skinner moves back within a half a truck length of the leader, Hornaday. He managed to get a nose in front of him once. Hornaday held on. Now they're coming back to that same section of the racetrack.
And he's going to try it again. He's going to try to outbrake him. Goes in the corner. And looks like he will have position on him. Now, can Hornaday come back? It doesn't look like. Looks like Skinner is in the lead.
Hornaday's given him that spot on the racetrack, too. 2 times in a row. Hornaday elected not to contest it. That is a prime passing area at Sears Point. Skinner took advantage of it. And the man who has led by far the most laps in the series this year leads again, but not by much. As Hornaday beats on it going up the hill, manages to move him over, comes up alongside. Good stuff.
And Skinner's got position now. Hornaday's going to try it again. And here he comes again. Hornaday, what a show he puts on.
These guys did not waste any time getting at a little smoke off the right front as Hornaday works the brakes hard. Skinner all over him. Everything that needs to be said about the rivalry between the two has been said time and again during the course of this series. But, Benny, this is awfully early in this race to start beating on each other.
Oh, it certainly is. There's the leader in the second place in the points. Marty Reed.
We were just mentioning something I was thinking about. Our viewers at home probably don't realize that Ron Hornaday Jr. was running in the Winston West race just prior to this. Do you think, Benny, maybe that adrenaline's pumped just a little bit more than normal? Because that's awfully early for a championship to be at stake, to be out there like that.
Well, it is, and we've seen already some damage to the left rear quarter panel of the 16 truck, where he's made contact with Mike Skinner.
The lead is 91 points. Hornaday, the race leader, is also the series leader over Mike Skinner, the reigning champion. With the kind of maneuvers they were making there, this could be an interesting day. Stay with us. In the truck owned by Teresa Earnhardt. Dale Earnhardt gets a lot of the credit, they say, for turning Hornaday into a points racer. He was known as a charger when he came out of the Winston West. We look out the back of Lance Norrick's truck here as he continues to twist and turn his way around this treacherous racetrack.
And that's 03. He's in 23rd spot. Now that looks like Rick McRae in the 02 truck right behind him. Rick McRae from Southern California. Used to race against Rick at the Ontario on Riverside Motor Speedway.
That boy's done a lot of road racing laps over the years, hasn't he? Been at this game a long time.
Norrick turn 11.
Norrick having defected from the Dodge ranks here after starting the season with the Dodge cars, now driving Mecklenburg Duncan Fords. Turn 1 up the hill. The elevation change is perhaps the most interesting characteristic of this racetrack. That's a big uphill followed by a dramatic and breathtaking downhill.
You can see, folks, just how much uphill they go as Norrick went up the hill towards turn 2. There's turn 3A. Now they'll go downhill. Watch as the sky appears in the camera. Turn 4. Down again.
From Mike Bliss, who is several positions ahead of these guys, and this is looking out the front of Bliss's truck as he pursues number 32.
That's Dorsey Schrader right in front of him.
Yeah, that's Dorsey Schrader. Dorsey jumped in the number 98 truck this week. The announcement was made that Butch Miller would be leaving the team. We talked about it in our Richmond show when Butch first made public the fact that he expected to be changing rides. His owner sped that process along a little bit by calling Butch on Tuesday and said, we don't need your services anymore. So Butch came here looking for a ride, and in fact is in the number 28 truck co-owned by Ernie Irvin and Mark Simo. Here you see all these guys come streaming through, and there is Dorsey, the former Trans Am champion, pursued by Bliss. He was available, and it didn't take a genius to say, hey, Dorsey would be a pretty good pick to drive the Sears Point truck, so he's making his first truck for the year.
Mike Earlman is going behind the wall in the 11th truck, and as we watch Bliss go up in the corner, and Heavy traffic in front of him as Dorsey Schrader's on the inside of Rich Bickle. And Bickle was running fifth just a moment ago. He is dropping back.
Problems for number 43 as Bickle has fallen badly off the pace. Meanwhile, Dorsey Schrader doing a good job slowly and steadily moving his way toward the front here.
That's Doug George right in front of him, and John Nemechek, the truck in front of Doug George.
Meanwhile, the leaders continue to battle within a truck length or two of each other most of the time. You see Jack Sprague going through as we follow for your favorite driver. Here comes George. Pretty frustrated at the difficulties he's had in the Truck Series this year after dominating out here in Winston West last year, the number 21. Off the road a little bit goes Nemechek, but gathers it back up and stays out of trouble. This is John Nemechek. His brother Joe, so spectacular at Watkins Glen this year.
That's 8th, 9th, 10th. John Nemechek qualified 6th for this truck race. If I'm not mistaken, the best starting position he's had in the Nascar Craftsman Truck Series since he's been racing. And Skinner will not leave Hornaday alone. He just stays right on that back bumper on the tailgate.
It's been the story of this division since it was created, Skinner versus Hornaday. Of course, Skinner will be moving on to Winston Cup competition next year, driving a second car out of the Childress stable. Skinner with 15 career wins in the truck division, Hornaday with 10. The next closest guy is Jack Sprague with 3. So these guys really have been the class of the field.
We're told that Rich Bickle has a clutch problem on the Cummins Dodge. Richard Petty's truck.
Frustration for Bickle, who started in 5th spot, is now outside the top 10 and going the wrong direction. You do not want to have clutch trouble on a road course.
There's
also
14 of Mark Road coming in, and there comes Bickle right behind him.
Let's go to Marty. He's there.
Oh, it's such a shame for Rich Bickle. You know, last year when he came out here for his very first ever time on a road course, he freely admitted I was just awful, but they had a good run going here, good qualifying. Here he is in the pits, and they are going to work on the clutch. That's the report that we've got so far.
Well, they're not working on the clutch. They're working on the rear. I don't know. They look like the wheels are locked up or something. But the truck was free with it. Maybe they think they broke an axle or something. Again, I don't know. They're working on the rear of the truck.
Bickle making only his 3rd road racing start, but he has picked it up pretty quickly. He was in the top 10 at Watkins Glen and had a good solid run there, so he certainly learned his lessons well. He'll be going to work for Darrell Waltrip in 1997. The lead battle continues. No more than a truck length to choose between them. They're down at turn 11. That's prime passing real estate. Hornaday smoking the tire a little going in. He'll leave the door open on the exit. Look out, here comes Skinner. Remember, they turn back to the left, which will give Hornaday the preferred line. Hey, Skinner's staying right with him, though.
Skinner wisely backs off. He really chased him up the hill. I told it Rich Bickle was an axle problem they had on his Cummins Dodge.
You get just periodic glimpses of the white truck in pursuit of these two. Joe Ruttman now able to sustain the pace of the leaders, but sitting solidly in 3rd as Hornaday holds Skinner at bay for the moment early in the 60-lap running of the Kragen 151. Walker Evans, having had trouble earlier, has returned to competition and will return to the competition right after this timeout. Stay with us. 51 at Sears Point Raceway. NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series action, and I do mean action as we look out the back from Mike Bliss's truck, and they come side by side to turn 11. A move to the inside by Ricky Johnson as he does battle with John Nemechek for position. Behind him, Nathan Butke involved in a pretty good fray as Skinner takes another look at Hornaday.
And Hornaday said, nah, I'm not going to give you the spot away. You got to earn it more than that. He moves over, blocks the attempted pass by Skinner.
These guys have dominated the road course competition for the truck since the division was born last year. There have been 4 previous road races. Hornaday won 3 of them. Skinner won. No surprise to see them up here and running 1-2 today.
Now Skinner's going to try to get a run, and on Hornaday as he goes up to turn 7. But Hornaday gets the run.
Yeah. Not much there for Skinner that time. You know, they talk about the precision of road racing. I love it when the stock car guys go road racing because they don't worry too much about precision.
Not at all. We see Hornaday just throwing his truck around as he goes around this racetrack and already running across some traffic in the S's. That might be Lance Ulrich that they're running across.
Rick Corelli had a great quote about Hornaday. They raced together in Winston West, and he knows about Ron's road racing adventures. And he said coming in here, he throws it, he pushes it, whatever it takes. He expects Sears Point to be his place. He is the boss on this racetrack. That's been the story thus far. Skinner's beaten on him a little bit, but Hornaday has held his own thus far. He expects to win, and that's so important at any racetrack that you go to.
That was Mark Montantos they just passed. Up into turn 2. Ron Hornaday has won the Southwest Tour twice, the Craftsman Truck Series win here, and holds the qualifying record for Southwest Tour and Winston West Series. So Ron Hornaday certainly knows how to get around to this racetrack.
Elsewhere on ESPN, too, when we bring you the Winston West race from here earlier today. Also owns what I think is the most spectacular pass for the lead ever at this joint. When he passed two guys on the outside at the top of the hill, that was something to watch, man. I'd like to see some more of that kind of action here in the truck race, but thus far he hadn't needed it. He's been able to keep Skinner at bay and only kick up a little bit of dust in the process.
Just barely keeps Skinner at bay. Skinner now closes in. Got a good run.
There'll be lap traffic to deal with again as they come up to one of the prime passing opportunities on the racetrack, which is right here, but Skinner is not close enough. We're seeing a lot of that right front brake smoke from Hornaday.
And let's see, there comes Jack Sprague. He does George. Dorsey Schrader reversed his truck. He is running in 8th spot as he tries to close in on George.
He's the kind of guy that will show you precision. Bliss, who said he hated this place when he first came here, has learned a lot about it. You go on board now as he chases Dorsey down the hill.
And this is down the hill, as Dave Despain just said. This is the S's. This is turn 9.
About here's where your ears pop.
This is 10. And this is they charge down straight down to a hairpin, turn 11. Probably a 40-mile-per-hour corner, go into it about 150. All the brakes you can get your feet on.
Mike's got a good line through there. He's nice and smooth. Yes, he was. That was a nice one. He didn't learn how to do that in the Navy, if I guarantee you. They throw those things around a good bit, too. But Bliss has certainly matured as a race car driver and now a race truck driver.
Going up into the sunset, into turn 2. Accelerates. This is turn 3 coming up, the left-hander. 3A. And down the hill to turn 4.
Not letting him we got trouble for Nemechek.
He scared that bug to death. What's that bug? He's trying to get off that camera lens.
Scared me to death, too. I thought there was a tire taken off. That's what that was. Nemechek has gathered things back up and returned to the racetrack directly behind Refner, who was not having a great day here. He was in 16th spot, so by our tally, that would make him 17th.
There we see Nemechek. That's Rob Rizzo in the 27 truck. Yep, come off the corner. Rizzo gets in the back of Nemechek, and around he goes. This is in turn 2.
Rizzo's a good young road racer, just early 20s, and has already made his mark in the Trans Am. Got a shot at driving a Roush car in that division, and now he's going to try to make his way in the truck ranks.
There we see Nemechek, the Delco Remy. All right, here we go. Bob Breed back on the outside as Hornaday and Skinner go by.
Comparatively uneventful that time through. No smoke, no contact.
Oh, some smoke there.
There's some smoke, and that's not where you expect to see it.
A lot of smoke out of the back of Hornaday's truck.
Oh.
The points leader.
A lot of smoke from Ron Hornaday at precisely the moment he can least afford it. A tight battle for the championship. We talked about it going in. He's 91 points up on Skinner, and he is smoking big time.
Looks to me like the right rear tire's flat.
It's a long way back to pit road from here. Skinner, for the moment, has elected to follow him.
There's something in the right rear that's smoking.
tire. First some contact on the racetrack. Sheet metal got into the rubber, cut the tire, and left Hornaday 22nd. Just at the moment it looked like he was going to pull away in the championship chase. His pursuers, Skinner and Sprague, instead reeled him in. Now we come here to Sears Point where he's supposed to win, and Hornaday shows smoke on the 14th of 60 laps.
And smoke generally does not heal itself.
And it's intermittent. It comes and goes.
I'm told that the fender might be rubbing the tire from some of the spotters around the racetrack as Skinner once again dives down to the inside trying to outbrake Hornaday.
He did not pit. That's the entrance to the pit right there at the turn-in point to turn 11. Hornaday elects to stay on the racetrack. We'll take a break and come back and see what happens here. Sears Point Raceway, we're under the first caution of the day. We have oil reported on the racetrack. There was smoke coming from the number 75 truck of Nathan Butke, which could be the source of the problem, and it could be a very big break here for Ron Hornaday, who's also short of smoke.
He chose not to pit. He chose not to come in the pits with a fender or some kind of smoke coming out of the back of the car, although NASCAR is going to have a caution flag, and this might be it. Surely they're going to make this the caution flag since we have completed 15 laps.
Let's elaborate on what Marty talked about at the top of it. Let's get to Marty first quickly. Marty?
Well, maybe that oil is from Nathan Butke's rear end on the truck. As you can see, they are in the process of draining what little fluid is left, and they are going to work on it. He's going to be in here for a while. They've got it up on the jack stand, and that could be the reason for this full course yellow. And they're trying, I guess, to decide, guys, whether or not this is going to be the first mandatory stop, and that's why everybody's staying out. They want to know.
Yeah, that's the point we were about to elaborate on. They will take a mandatory, what they call a competition yellow. The trucks need fuel at somewhere near this point in the race, and it is the truck philosophy not to require these teams to bring full crews to do a competitive pit stop, so they allow them to make what's called a competition yellow. They bring the entire field in to gas them up. That was expected to happen between 15 and 20. The caution came on lap 14. And I wonder if the reason Hornaday stayed out was because he was waiting for the NASCAR decision as to whether or not this was going to be, in fact, that competition yellow. Now the indication is that they will probably bring the entire field in the next time by. Let's watch the smoke off Hornaday's truck. He's got her off both ends here.
Man, is he smoking that left front tire? How can the tire last? He has to flat spot those tires sliding the left front like that. Man, oh man.
If he hadn't been doing that his entire career, we'd think it was probably something pretty dramatic, wouldn't it? It sure makes a great picture. We'll be back in a moment. Road here at Sears Point Raceway. It is the first of the competition yellows. It was actually triggered by oil on the racetrack. It is a big break for Ron Hornaday, number 16, whose truck was smoking in the right rear. Apparent sheet metal caved in on the right rear tire. Now, the question is, first of all, is that the problem? And two, what will they do to fix it? Marty?
Well, here's the situation. Take a look at Kip Childress, the NASCAR official, looking at the right front. He's going to check that tire. The only way that they can change that tire is if he determines that sending them back out would be unsafe. If he says it's good to go, they have to leave it alone. They can pull the sheet metal off, and he's saying the tire's okay, so it looks like they are not going to be allowed to change that tire. Now, everybody else is in to just get fuel, and they'll go back out. Now they're also looking, looks like they're taking some sheet metal on the rear of the car and bending that away too, because obviously the contact, as they are bending, maybe you can see better from your side than I can from mine.
Yes, I can see there's a mechanic under the car trying to figure out, I guess the smoke is not a tire rub. In fact, it is an oil leak from someplace, and he's trying to figure out where the oil is coming from and what can they do to fix it. You can repair things like an oil leak, but you can't change tires. Now then, and he will not be, if he can get back out before the pace car comes around, he will not be lapped. And he will be able to go back to the lead, no matter how long it takes him. But if he's lapped, he will be one lap down. Now Kip Childress will look down and check things out.
Everyone, I think, thought, certainly we thought, the general consensus seemed to be based on radio traffic that Hornaday had sheet metal rubbing on a tire because it is a competition yellow in which they cannot change tires.
All right, now I guess they're trying to raise the back of the truck like it's too low. Like the back of the truck is too low. I saw them with the wrench. Now they're going to raise the left side and look and see what the problem is over there.
It does have sheet metal damage on the left rear as a result of previous contact, and I think that was with Skinner when they got into that little bit of a bumping match, but that's not where the smoke was coming from.
We see some oil.
Got a puddle under there.
There's a puddle of something under the truck now.
A huge potential problem for Ron Hornaday. Sheet metal on the tire would have been easy to deal with. NASCAR would have allowed a tire change if necessary. At a minimum, they could have pulled the sheet metal away and sent him back out. And remember, under competition yellow, you do not lose position. But now, it appears that the problem is a whole lot more serious than that.
They are dropping the air pressure in these tires. These tires will build air pressure. As they get warm, they are taking the tires back down to recommended pressure by Goodyear.
So, a dramatic development for the championship point leader in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Division. We'll take a break and see what the outcome of this is at Sears Point. Green, they're coming to turn 11. The lights are out on the pace car, and Hornaday is back at the front of the field, Benny. It's not like Winston Cup.
Under these competition yellows, they can work on the truck. As long as they don't get lapped, they're able to go back to their position. And Hornaday is back leading the race, just about to take the green flag from Chris Morgan, the starter.
Skinner in that second spot.
And Dave Resendez in the 7th is in 3rd spot. So Resendez started 8th spot and has worked his way to 3rd. Birthday boy.
He's done a great job here in the early going as they head up the hill. There's Joe Ruttman in the white truck. He is in 4th, and then that black truck is Keselowski, who is a lap down. There's Pirelli, chased by Sprague, the 6th and the 24. They are 5th and 6th, and the rest of the field comes screaming up the hill. Just like old times, 16 and 3 out front. Hornaday trying to hold off Skinner. We'll be watching closely to see if there is any more of that telltale smoke from Hornaday's truck.
Oh, Ruttman got off in the dirt, but was able to get back going without spinning.
The crew apparently did a little housekeeping underneath the rear end of Hornaday's truck. They did zip tie an oil line up and out of harm's way, but said that they didn't really think that that was causing any problem. Miller is Resendez taking a look.
Look at Resendez close in on the back off Skinner. Wow.
He's come from 8th. He may be the fastest cat out there. He is, with the help of the caution, now caught the leaders. He was gaining on them prior to that caution. Now he's caught him. We got trouble. Nemechek facing the wrong way at the top of the hill. Stands on the gas, does the donut, heads on down. There was one other truck involved. Nemechek's second off-course excursion of the day will drop him to the tail end of the field, which is about 24th position. That many trucks remaining on the lead lap.
And Skinner takes the lead. In turn 11 has the lead, and Hornaday's trying to, Resendez
right in the middle of it.
Was trying to get on the inside of Hornaday, could not make it, and put Skinner in front.
Skinner had made that move twice early in the race. Coming up the inside, going to turn 11, moving Hornaday over, and grabbing the spot, but he was never able to consolidate that lead once he got it. This time, he did it. He's in front of Hornaday, but for how long? Hornaday coming right up the outside. I'll tell you, that guy's tough on a road course.
He is tough, and here he's going to go on the inside of Skinner. Down to turn 4. He's got position and should have the spot, but they go through there side by side.
And Skinner held him off. That's tough to do on the outside. Skinner was able to hold the position. Resendez is the spoiler at all this, the black 7. The QEC Jeff Lorino's truck sitting in 3rd spot. He's just waiting for those two boys to take each other out, and he'll inherit the lead. Ruttman close behind. Let's see if we can. We started to this once before and couldn't get to it because of the action on the racetrack. Let's try to hear from Butch Miller, who's out of the truck and on the sideline. Marty, what's up?
Yeah, this is rare when we get to talk to somebody during the race who's got a smile on their face because the truck's still running.
Truck's still running good. It's a little bit pushy, you know. I got to thank 1-800-COLLECT, No Fear, and especially Mark Simo, who picked up old Bird, had a broke wing, and gave me a chance to stay in the points. What a great guy.
You're running 4th. The truck's running well right now. I think it's still in the top 10, based on what's going on out there. What are track conditions like? Because normally we don't get to talk to the guys too much about that.
Well, the track's a little bit dirty because no matter what, these guys are truck drivers. They take the shortest way around so through the dirt doesn't mean a thing to them. So it's a little bit dirty, and I tell you what you're going to see. It's hot out there. A lot of these guys aren't going to make all 60 laps.
Well, Resendez is putting the pressure on Hornaday right now, guys. Hagen.
And Hornaday, in turn, is losing ground to the leader, Skinner. Resendez has backed off a couple of truck lights for the moment, but Skinner's getting away. I'm a little surprised at that.
Yeah, Skinner is just driving away. And right now Resendez, I think, is a little faster than Hornaday. I think that Resendez and Skinner might be about the same speed if they can get hooked up.
We no longer see the smoke from Hornaday's truck, at least the smoke that was suspect. We still periodically see puffs off the front under braking, because that is Hornaday's style. They really use the brakes hard getting into the corner. It appears the truck is healthy as we jump on board here and ride with Refner, doing battle with the number 43 of Rich Bickle.
This is down through the carousel, turn 6.
Bickle had a problem earlier and is 6 laps down after stopping for repairs. But this shot would indicate, Benny, that he's got it fixed. He's back to competitive speed.
He had a broken axle, I believe, was the problem they had with the truck. And there's Bill Sitton in the 17. He's still in the lead lap, running 14th spot. Refner is 15th. I guess right now that has been changed. Refner is in 14th, and Cedric is in 15th.
The lap scoring, of course, updated at start finish every lap, and it's a long lap at this racetrack. A minute and 40 seconds to get around this joint. Skinner, for the moment, is doing it most effectively as he holds an increasing lead over second place Hornaday. Hornaday continuing to feel pressure from Resendez. Sprague has gone backward. He qualified third. He's currently shown 7th on the field, and he can't afford that. He needs to be up there mixing it up with both Hornaday and Skinner to keep his championship hopes alive. He's just 7 behind Skinner in the rankings.
And he spent a lot of time in the pit. Hornaday, we saw he was in the pit for a long, long time. So was Jack Sprague in the Quaker State truck.
They actually came out together and worked their way back through to reassume their positions prior to the fall of the yellow. The difference was that Hornaday at the time was leading, while Sprague, as we said, is currently running in 7th spot. Skinner leads it. Walker Evans is reported back in the pits. There's the onboard camera that demonstrates that to be the case. We'll take a break and come back with more as he pulls back out and returns to competition. We're at Sears Point Raceway. It's the Kragen 151, 151 miles of action. Stay with us. Hornaday's situation as we go back down the pit road. Marty Reed.
Well, that fluid you see leaking out, remember they talked about tying up a line? Well, that line allows the axle housing to breathe. They feel that it is overflow, and they tried to keep it tied up so that it wouldn't do what it's currently doing. They don't see that as a major problem right now. They keep their fingers or their eyes more glued towards the tire situation. Now, Jack Sprague, if you notice, was falling back. We found out that the crew is reporting that the truck is missing, and the problem that they thought was a plug, they brought him in. Remember at the last break, he was one of the last ones to go out. They changed the plugs. It's not. They now think it may be an electrical line, one of the spark plug wires, and they're going to do that at lap 31 when we take the mid-break.
We will be taking the traditional halftime break here for the trucks, but the story for the moment is that among the top 3 in the championship standings, one has a definite problem, Sprague with electrics. One may have a problem, Hornaday, although if it is in fact the overflow, Benny, shouldn't be a serious problem.
No, it shouldn't be a serious problem. I can understand that. The overflow had fallen down and was leaking some fluid out. That's the smoke we saw. They just simply taped it back up or put it back up at a height where it would not drain out, and that should cure the problem. We see the 98 truck, Dorsey Schrader. There he comes into the picture. He broke a front sway bar, the Rebestis truck, and that is bad news for him. He would just simply be out there riding around the rest of the afternoon trying to get the best position he can as we get ready for a restart.
He had worked his way close to the top 10. Dorsey Schrader now ends up in 11th spot for the moment as we come back to green. And pace car goes straight and the leaders head up the hill. Got a glimpse of Ricky Johnson Johnson in the Red Dog truck. He's been on the move. He's up to 8th position. And
Skinner missed the corner. He totally, and look, he's in the tires.
Wow. Skinner just missed the turn-in point. It appeared, although it almost seems like it might have had to be something mechanical. You see where he's parked up on the tire barrier. 91 points behind in the championship standings. He is way behind right now.
And he was smoking those rear tires, trying to get off those tires, but it's not going to move. The truck is not going to move.
He is stuck, and Hornaday is back out front. I'll tell you what, Hornaday has gone from famine to feast here, at least in terms of appearances. It looked like he was in very serious trouble as he spent a long time on pit road, but now this is what he's going to see the next time by. Let's take another look.
It's almost like a front tire was flat or something. There he goes in the corner. He gets in the debris. When he tries to come back, his entry in the corner is just terrible. But the truck just will not turn. It's like a tire's flat or something.
Wow. And he hit that tire wall at exactly the right angle to just climb up on top of it, and was not able, as you saw, he was attempting to spin the wheels and get the thing to back down. It would not do that. It is high-centered. And so the third caution of the day is a significant one, as Skinner, in contention for his second straight championship, is in trouble. Real time.
Just comes in the corner and the thing simply goes straight. Wow. You know, his trouble started, if we could replay that one more time.
It's the previous corner.
It's the previous corner that his troubles start, and I don't know what caused all those problems, but the left-hander preceding that, he was out of the groove there in the loose stuff. And we see the wrecker trying to get hooked up so they can pull him back off those tires, and he go to the garage area because he has some heavy damage to the nose of that car. Now, once again, watch this. We see Skinner telling the guys, get me off, get me off. Okay, now, the pace car, the green flag is out. Pace car goes away. Skinner turns left into the corner. Now, when we switch to the camera coming up the hill, here, as he goes under the bridge, see, when he goes to that corner, he just goes out in the loose stuff, and watch his angle into this corner is just terrible. There's no way he can get any angle whatsoever. And I don't know if he's got debris on it. Remember, Jeff Gordon in the Winston Cup race out here got debris on the tires and did almost identically the same thing that Skinner did.
They pulled him down off the tire wall, and the truck is back underway. There's sheet metal hanging off the right front.
And a tire.
And he's going to definitely need some work. There he's got the tires clear and is headed back to the pits for whatever attention. His actual contact with the tire barrier doesn't appear to have badly damaged the front, because it gave a good bit when he hit it, and he more climbed up on top of it than he did slam into it. So perhaps the damage is not too severe, but the bottom line is that he is going to almost certainly go a lap down here. Wow. It has been an eventful truck race here in Sears Point thus far. Skinner trying to hold off Sprague for second, at the same time reel in Hornaday in the championship. There you see, he clipped her pretty good.
Man, oh man. And it looks like the tires are up. Can't see where the tires are flat, so I guess he just got debris on the tires and would not turn.
I kept waiting for that panic attempt to get the thing stopped before he smacked the wall. Never saw that, and concluded from that he might have had something wrong with the truck. I don't think so. I think he's just so far off the line, and once he gets to the dirt, he's helpless.
I mean, there's no point slamming on the brakes, because then it's going to go straight into those tires. He was simply trying to turn it away.
He was trying to drive it right up to the moment of contact. So Skinner is on pit road. Hi, we're at Sears Point Raceway, Sonoma, California. If you're just joining us from the baseball game, we have had a wild day here. We are under caution, brought out by the series champion, Mike Skinner. He has just moments ago clobbered the tire barrier on an attempted restart. To reset briefly, Hornaday had led, battling with Skinner. Here you see repairs being made after this incident on the restart.
Skinner is the leader. Skinner is the leader. They go up the hill. Green flag. Hornaday right behind him in second spot. Watch. Skinner misses the corner. He gets over in the debris, the loose stuff. His corner is totally destroyed. Getting in the right-hander, he can't make the corner and just drives straight into the tire barrier.
The truck, perhaps not terribly damaged, was in fact high-centered on the tires, and as a result, he lost an awful lot of time on the racetrack, but significantly, he did not lose a lap. In terms of the championship standings, Skinner came into this race 91 points behind Ron Hornaday. Skinner sat on the pole. Hornaday on the outside of the front row. Jack Sprague, third ranked in the championship standings, has also had trouble here today. His truck is on 7 cylinders, and they've been attempting for the last perhaps 10 laps or so to get that sorted out. He is struggling, but holding on to 6th spot. Now, for those of you who have just joined us from the baseball game, you will see this race in its entirety tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. If you missed that, you get another shot at 10 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night, and it will re-air one final time over on the other network on ESPN Friday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So you get plenty of shots at seeing the entire race here, and it has been a wild one. Now we have Hornaday back at the head of the field. We'll take a break and come back with more from Sears Point Raceway. We're back. We're live on ESPN2, and we've got the Nascar Craftsman Truck Series for you. Been a wild one so far, and hey, we're just getting good and warmed up here. 25 laps complete of the 60 thus far. If you've just joined us, let's get you up to date on who's carrying our onboard cameras. This is Lance Norrick's truck, as he's had a couple of difficulties here thus far today and is back in 18th starting spot. Brian Ruffner's been a bit more fortunate. He sits in 12th position as you take a look out the front of his truck. Didn't take very long for Walker Evans to have problems. He stopped on the very first lap with trouble and is now a lap down. Mike Bliss is having the best run for our onboard cameras as he sits in 8th position. Now let's take a look at the running order. Pick out your favorite driver here. Again, for those of you who just joined us, Hornaday had led it early. Skinner got around him once. Then Hornaday had a long pit stop. We'll update you on that in a moment as we take you on back through the field. Ruttman qualified very well here for this race. Ricky Johnson, number 15, has been moving up steadily. The 28 truck was actually started by Butch Miller today. He has handed off to Mark Simo, the owner of that truck. Now we'll take you on back through the rest of the field, and Nemechek's had a couple of spins here. We mentioned that Norrick had trouble. Schrader in the 98, that's Dorsey Schrader, the Trans Am champ, has a broken front sway bar, and Skinner will be the last truck on the lead lap as a result of this incident that you saw just moments ago, in which he basically missed the entrance to that left-hand turn and paid the price on the following right-hander. Now, for the mechanical side of the story, let's go to the pits and Marty Reed.
Well, first off, with Mike Skinner's situation, the guys down here, he hasn't said what got them off course as far as the accident was concerned. They got very lucky, though. Very little superficial damage. Did not get into the radiator at all, even though he was high-centered. The only thing they'll have to worry about is the toe knocked out on the front end because of the contact. As far as the 16 truck and Ron Hornaday, boy, they have been living on a cloud because they could have had a major problem early when they thought they had a tire that would have to be replaced. And then they also had some fluid coming out of an overflow on the rear end of the differential. That still has dropped down again. That's the fluid that you're seeing from time to time, creating a little bit of smoke. They're going to work at fixing that in the mid-race break coming up at lap 31. Jack Sprague may have the most critical problem. They thought they had a spark plug situation he was missing. It turns out that did not fix when they replaced the plugs, and they're now going to go and try and look at the spark plug wires, and that's coming up, as we said, lap 31, guys.
Seesaw battle? You bet. Hornaday led the first 3 laps. Skinner led the 4th. Hornaday laps 5 through 7. Skinner lap 8. Hornaday 9 through 18. Then Skinner from 19 to 24. And now on lap 25, Hornaday going back in front after Skinner crashes the number 3 truck. We get set for the restart here. And that's Joe Ruffin in the white number 8. He's looking along the outside of Resendiz here, hoping to make some kind of a move. Green is in the air.
And there's 3 abreast back there. That's not good.
It's an accident looking for a place to happen as Hornaday takes him up the hill.
And Sprague loses the spot that Doug George at 21 was going by. And there's all the trucks that are running, and there's the leader, Ron Hornaday, the Napa truck. And Dave Resendiz, great run going. It's his birthday, folks. He's 37 years old today in that 7 QBC truck.
Winner of the series opener, having a good run run today. He started in 8th spot. He has gained more positions than anybody else on the racetrack, and he's done it against the fastest trucks in the field. That new LCI sponsorship on his Roush number 80. 888-TEAM LCI. Joe says call that number. That's how I get my sponsor dollars. George has got a good run going. He sits in 5th spot. Here's the challenge for position. Up the outside, Corelli working on Rutman.
Rick Corelli started in 7th spot, trying to take away 3rd. And there we see Mike Skinner as he gets by Nemechek. This is down the S's at the Sears Point Raceway. That would be turn 9, the right-hander.
And this is a steep downhill. This is almost like a ski run coming down through here. You lose a lot of altitude in a hurry, and then you really use up the brakes and get stopped at the bottom.
Trucks are going through turn 10 as they head to turn 11. A hairpin, there it is, a hairpin, right-hander, about 40 miles per hour. Oh, and it's a little bit of contact between the 44-43, that's Brian Reffer, and the 44. And Rich Bickle trying to get by. Rich Bickle has had some problems. He's 6 laps down. Where'd he go? He's there, maybe.
The disappearing truck, I think he must have completed that pass.
There he is.
There he is. Magically reappearing in front of Refner. And as they continue a terrific battle for position here just outside the top 10. That should move, I believe, Bickle to a 10th spot.
No, Bickle had a broken axle.
He was a broken axle. He's 6 laps down. Refner is the leader in the Cintas Rookie of the Year point standings over Doug George, who's having a good run here today. He's 5th and should gain some points on Refner in that competition, and that's the distinctive yellow and green zone right there.
Ortho's lawn treatment truck. I was here when Doug George won his West to West race at this race track several years ago.
Those guys are so frustrated at the difficulties they've had with the truck series. I mean, they won like, what, 6 of the last 7 Winston West races last year, won the championship at the series finale, came back from a lap and a half down under green. I mean, and he almost flicked it away right there. The very man of whom we speak, Doug George. Last year's Winston West champ, making the transition to trucks, and it's been a tough one, but now he's back on his home turf. If he's going to have a good run, this would be a good place to do it.
Look at his dad and mom yesterday. They're so happy with the job that he's doing, the chance that he's getting.
Good young racing truck driver. I almost said race car driver. He was a good race car driver. Before he became a good race truck driver.
Resendez taking an awfully good line in that corner, real wide. Now he'll try to come off and make a run on Horn today. Can't do it.
Sprague in the 24 there, the green and white truck, is holding his own pretty well, given the fact that he's been lifting around on 7 cylinders here. Horsepower is less critical, perhaps, in road races than it is in some other aspects of the sport, simply because you can compensate a little bit with a good line and be a little more daring with the brakes.
Oh, and
Resendez had a look, didn't he, Benny?
I thought he was going to go for the lead right there. Looked like he had the lead. I can't believe that the 24 truck Sprague had 7 cylinder. He's running too good.
He knows something the rest of these guys don't. If he ever gets that 8th cylinder, if that's true, and he gets the 8th cylinder back,
Look out.
he'll walk over. And there are 2 or 3 good passing opportunities on this racetrack. Resendez knows exactly where they are, and he is trying to set Ron Hornaday up to try to do some business. Not close enough.
No, he's not close enough, but he's going to charge in the corner, and he's really taking a very wide entry in the corner, much wider than Hornaday or anyone else, and he's going to come off.
Oh, behind him, Corelli almost made the move.
Now, where is Skinner? As he tries to work his way back to the front.
Waiting for him, and it's a bit of a wait. There he is.
And he's still behind John Nemechek. He was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was behind Nemechek the last time we saw Skinner.
83 is Steve Portengate just in front of them. Here they come down the hill. Skinner is not making dramatic progress, although he has picked up position.
But the front damage he has to his truck, really, really a problem. I'm sure that he's having all kinds of habit problems because he has knocked the front air dam completely off the truck.
You've heard Skinner on the fuss over a quarter inch.
As a lead team.
Got him. He got underneath in the off turn 11 as they headed up the hill. It's the new leader. Here is Skinner trying to knock off Portingay and gain another position as he tries to scramble his way back toward the top 10. And they'll go side by side to the top of the hill, but we have a new leader. Oh, Bickle smashed it hard into the wall. This is just before the scheduled halfway break, but Bickle has crashed a ton as he hits with the number 43 Dodge. The tires are still bouncing to a halt here. Isn't that where his owner smashed up his car a while back?
That looks almost identical to Richard Petty in 90-91, something like that. Folks, you remember, I think this is turn 1A or something that Richard went straight where we saw Mike Skinner have exactly where Richard Petty went straight in the wall several years ago.
Petty now owns Bickle's truck.
We're watching for Bickle to come through. There he is. We see him on the outside trying to race a car through the corner. Now he's not there. And we look, and there he is, exactly like Richard Petty hit that concrete wall head on several years ago.
Boy, you can see how hard that truck hit. The right front pushed almost back to the firewall. Now let's go back and review the pass for the lead. This is coming to turn 11. Hornaday with the advantage. Resendiz comes up the outside.
And takes a great corner in there and gets Hornaday down on the inside, gets his engine choked down, and Resendiz gets a great run on the outside. His car's running, truck's running free, takes the lead.
That's a tough pass to make. Resendiz made it magnificently and sits at the top of the heap here. As we take a break under caution, we'll be back with more after this timeout. We're under yellow in the Kragen 151 at Sears Point Raceway. The reason, I guess, is obvious. Rich Bickle has clobbered the wall. Although those tires didn't do all that damage, the concrete which those tires protect did most of that damage. The good news is that Bickle has climbed out of that thing. Man, I'll tell you what, Benny, he hit hard. We're going to take another look at how this all developed.
There we see they come through turn 1, starting to make the left-hander, and just at the top of the screen, you'll see Mike Bliss and Rich Bickle going in the corner. There they are, side by side. You can already see it looks like the Bickle's car is starting to get a little bit loose. Here's from Mike Bliss onboard camera. There's Bickle beside of him. And when he starts to turn in, it's just like the truck went sideways when he corrects it, and then he slams on the brake, and then it just goes straight in. And that's a concrete wall backed up by the world. And behind those tires.
The aftermath of it is the tires went bouncing every which direction, and there was immediate concern for Rich when you hit that hard, but he has climbed out of the truck and has gone for the obligatory check at the care center. Coming up on the outside of Bliss, when he turned in like that, he's out in the loose stuff, and that truck wanted to go straight and ultimately did go straight.
Exactly.
We were almost at the midway point of the race, which is scheduled 60 laps. Now under caution, they have completed lap 30. Marty, are you hearing anything down there about what they're going to do in terms of the halfway break? Is this it?
Yeah, going to take it early. In fact, they're just entering pit lane now, so all the crews are geared up, and we're going to start, and I don't want to feel like poor Dave Resendiz is being slighted here, but he's at the other end of pit lane, and with the championship battle and so much happening between these top three, we're going to start with Ron Hornaday's operation, and we're going to be right here and ready for you as soon as they get to us.
We'll do that as soon as we come back here to Sears Point Raceway. It is halftime in the Kragen 151. NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series action continues after this. This is the reason for the caution flag. The caution flag has evolved into the mid-race break. Rich Bickle being checked over, but apparently okay after a hard smash into the concrete here at Sears Point. Meanwhile, halftime has arrived. The trucks are under repair, and Marty Reed is ready to go jogging.
Yeah, and Ron Hornaday is out of the vehicle right now. Ron, do you feel lucky or unlucky right now? You got so many problems, but yet you're still in front.
Well, it's not where we want to be. Snapper Chevrolet's awesome. It's just a matter of, on the brake bias, it says front and rear, and I'm going the wrong way, and it's putting front in it, and I'm skid the tires again and did it. So we'll be all right. I just got to save these tires and wait for the second half. The first half I skidded them a couple times because the brake bias was the wrong way.
Guy said you were also saying the car or truck was a little tight.
Well, heck, I don't know which way it's tight. It's tight one way and loose the other, and we do a little bit, and then it's tight both ways. So we're going to put it right back to where we started from, where we qualified that, and we'll be all right.
All right, let's go. We're going to take a walk around the truck and show you exactly what's going on. This is that area where the breather line is got to be tied up, and that's what they're working on underneath there, taking care of any oil that might be dripping out on the overflow. So they've got the tie wraps working on there. Let's go this way, Corky. Let's see if we can catch up with Mike Skinner, get his version as they are taking the front air dam and trying to move that around. And Mike, take us through what happened on the shunt.
Driver error. I seen Ron jump the start back there on us a little bit. And I looked up in the mirror and I seen him coming hard, and I hit the brakes and the truck went straight. When I turned it back, I must have not got the tires cleaned off good. Just a driver error, shorted out.
Yeah, but do you feel a little lucky? I mean, there was no front end damage other than the air dam. How's the truck handling since?
I don't feel too lucky, but you know, we're lucky to be able to continue to race. So you know, we'll go on and get the best we can. We got an awfully good racing truck right here, and if anybody can fix it, these guys can fix it. If they can get the thing back like it was, we got a good chance of gaining a few of these spots back.
Well, they're going to ask him to hold the brake. We're going to go to Jack Sprague, and I got to tell you guys, they do have to feel lucky because that crew got him out before they went a lap down. Now, pitting right behind him is Jack Sprague. This is the man who's third in points, and you can see they've got the rocker cover off, and they are, in fact, they're just putting it back on. And it looks like, that looks like they have made several changes on the valve or a lifter at least. And they're putting the head cover back on. They're also looking like they may have worked on a couple of the spark plug lines as well. Jack Sprague is available. I'm going to sneak in here. I don't know if Corky can make his way around. Jack, what's going on out there? You take us through it.
I'm not really sure. We lost a cylinder about 5 laps into this thing. Quaker State Chevrolet's running well. I don't know how it's going to react if we get all 8 back, because you know, I don't know what to tell them the truck's doing because we've been underpowered so bad. But that's one nice thing about the Hendrick motors. When you lose a cylinder, you can still hang on. But you know, if we don't get the other cylinder back, I think we'll still get a top 10 out of it. And if we get it back, who knows?
All right, Jack Sprague, he's still in the hunt, and we'll keep you posted on what's going on here in pit lane, guys.
Seems a bit of a contradiction to say it's really running well when it's only running on 7 cylinders, but I think what he meant is that for 7 cylinders, he's running pretty well.
And it is. It is. I'm telling you what, I was amazed how well he was running on 7 cylinders.
Well, they got to put her back together here and bolt it up because this is a short break, 5 minutes. They're being given the signal to start cranking them back up and moving them back out here. Ironically, it looked like Hornaday was going to be the guy with all the problems here today. Now, Hornaday sits in second spot, and his challengers for the championship are the two that are struggling. Sprague on 7 cylinders, and Mike Skinner back there in 13th spot with a beat-up race truck. They start to come back to life. We'll take a break and come back with more. Get along a little doggy, perhaps? Football coming up. We got dog-eat-dog battle tonight, Georgia versus Mississippi State, the Southeast Conference action. Coming up next on ESPN2, so be sure and check that out. The pastoral setting here. It's around Sears Point Raceway, but on the racetrack, it has been a bit of a brutal day. We got cows everywhere around.
We got cows, calves. Looks like they're going home. It looks like they're going someplace to eat. Don't that sound like a bad idea?
That looks like dinner to me. I'll tell you, it's been a big change, as we mentioned at the top of the show, from the mason jars to the wine bottles. It's a fun place to be, though, isn't it?
There's Mike Bliss as we ride along with Mike as he tries to get the tires ready to go.
Report from Jack Sprague's pit is that ultimately they changed everything they could change. Valve springs, the distributor, the plugs, and all the plug wires. As we go on board with Walker Evans, Jack Sprague, number 24, is hoping that he'll be a better than 6th place truck on this restart.
Brian Refter, as he follows Mike Bliss.
He's currently in 9th spot. We've made a couple of references to that Winston West race that ran earlier here today. You're going to want to see that. It was a fantastic race, the Sonoma 100, and that's coming up on Friday at 7:30 East Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific. Be sure and check that out. Hornaday was in it and made one of the most spectacular passes we've ever seen here at Sears Point. A lead battle that went all the way to the end. I'm not going to tell you how it came out, but I want you to tune in and see that. Let's get an update on the 98 truck from Marty Reed.
Well, you remember they broke the front sway bar. Well, they have re-welded. They changed the one in the rear. They've made a couple of chassis adjustments. They're finishing up. I don't know if they're going to make it in time, though, to get back out. They're still finishing up the final details in the front end of the number 98.
And you're saying, why is that not Butch Miller? Well, because Butch's car owner called on Tuesday and said, Butch, you're out of here. You're out of the ride. And Dorsey Schrader is driving that truck here today. It's his first appearance in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Despite the broken sway bar, he had managed to remain on the lead lap. He's in danger of losing that here as they work their way back around for the restart. It's a one-shot deal for Dorsey.
I'm told that Kenny Irwin Jr. will drive this truck the remaining 3 oval track races in the rest of the year.
And we'll take a break and come back for the restart right after this. We're back at Sears Point. Chris Morgan puts the green in the air, and we're back underway with the second half of the Kragen 151.
Now, can Hornaday get by? You know how good he is on restarts? Can he get by Resendez?
Driver number 16, the best in the business when it comes to restarts, but this time, Resendez said, man, I worked hard for this lead. I believe I'm going to hang on to it.
And I like being out here where there's nothing in front of me except this beautiful California blue sky.
Joe Ruttman in that white Roush truck sits in third.
Corelli's in fourth.
Corelli's moved around. Doug George picked up another position. And the number 24 sitting in sixth spot is Jack Sprague. It'll be interesting to see whether that truck is able to move closer to the front, if in fact they've been able to get it hitting on all 8 here after the halftime break.
And Rick Johnson, the Red Dog truck, is now up to 7th spot. That's the 15th.
He's had a great run here today. Ricky Johnson started in 13th spot, and it's not been a spectacular charge. It's been nice, steady, and consistent. A position here, a position there, taking what was available to him, but not overextending his truck. Ricky is out of that truck on a full-time basis. He's joined the Blue Bandit racing team, the former Supercross champion, here chasing Sprague down the hill.
Well, actually, that's the number they're going to run next year. It's 15, so they borrowed this truck from the Penske organization, and Ricky about missed the corner, and somebody did miss the corner back there.
Back there, and that looks like Bliss. That was my side racing out of shape. Meanwhile, here comes Skinner up the inside, making a move on Jimmy Hensley and picking up a position. And now Bliss is still stuck on the outside, so Skinner will make that 2 and go to work on the 44 truck of Refner around the corner and up the hill. That was pretty profitable couple of corners for Skinner.
Was picked up 3 spots.
Maximum efficiency. That's going to get him close to the tail end of the top 10 here. So don't count Skinner out. It's still a long race. He was the fastest truck on the racetrack through most of the first half of the race.
Ever see Rick Johnson we were just talking about? And I tell you what, they had some high-powered guys working on that truck down there Friday. Shane Doles, the ARCA driver, was working on the truck. Larry Penn. Tony Gibson is the crew chief on the 15 truck. He was working on Cal Lawson. He used to be with Alan Kowicki. Jeff Bodine, he was working on the truck.
Ricky Johnson was a terrific motorcycle racer. It's been a long time since one of the bike guys really made the spectacular transition. Now he's going to have his hands full because here comes Skinner, and he is not waiting around for Ricky. Ricky says, I don't want to be in front of this guy. And Skinner goes right on by. In front of them, the report is that Sprague's truck is still running on 7 cylinders.
Well, you would think that he would, as well as that truck runs, that he would be making some progress around those other trucks if he had 8 cylinders, but
guys, you got to wonder what it is after all the things that they changed.
yeah, I'm just amazed that he's able to keep up.
He's doing a great job. This would truly be a remarkable run if he had all the cylinders firing. Unfortunately, he does not. So as we ride with Refner at the tail end of the top 10, up ahead, you see Skinner making continuing progress. That's Ricky Johnson right in front of him. Skinner is the next truck in front of him, and then Sprague, and they are the 2 guys chasing Hornaday in terms of the championship standings. So the 324 battle is one worth watching.
This is turn 1. This left-hander is turn 1A. Now the truck will go back to the right. Turn 2, and Skinner. The has gotten by Ricky Johnson and works on Doug George. Wow, Doug George is the 5th place truck.
Skinner, George between Skinner and Sprague at the moment. Actually, George must have lost a couple positions that lap because he was in front of Sprague.
He was in front of Sprague, yes, he is. So he has lost his spot.
So he has sandwiched himself between the 2nd and 3rd ranked drivers in the standings. They are number 3 Skinner and number 24 Sprague, respectively. Russell with a good consistent run here today. Corelli, we haven't talked a lot about Rick, but he's having a good run. He's 4th.
And here comes Skinner. He's on the inside of George, has the position. And Doug George comes off the corner racing. They almost make contact. Now it's side by side down through the S's. And Skinner has to back off.
Nice work by George. Kept the cool head. Once the truck got a little out of shape, it looked like he might have a serious problem, but he kept the wheels on the tarmac and held on the spot as the leaders go through. There's 3rd place Ruttman. Here's Corelli at 4th, then Sprague at 5th, then George, followed by Skinner and Johnson. Good position battles here. Here comes Skinner making the move now on George, and this time should be able to complete that pass.
And Ricky Johnson will try to follow, cannot do it. So give Skinner the 5th spot.
Mike Skinner headed for the front, knows that he needs to catch Hornaday if he's going to move up in the championship standings. We'll take a break and be right back. Watching baseball and missed the first part of the telecast, you can catch the entire program, the re-air of the Kragen 151 tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll also be on tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. So pick a 10 o'clock and watch it. Now that is Eastern Time. Tomorrow night. Tonight at 10. Benny, I haven't been able to do this right. You read it, will you? Tell them when the show's going to be.
It's tonight, just a couple hours from now, 10 o'clock tonight on ESPN2. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. on ESPN2. Or Friday night on ESPN at 7:30.
Oh, in other words, it's just like it says on the screen.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell me? Steve Portengay's truck has slowed. He has lost power. And during the span of that commercial break, Mike Skinner passed 2 trucks, Jack Sprague and Rick Corelli. So Mike Skinner is definitely on the hustle here as Portengay heads for pit road. Here comes the leader, Resendez, and he's got a bit of a gap now over Hornaday. It's perhaps 5 to 6 truck lengths. Here comes the white truck of Ruttman, the new LCI truck, and here comes Skinner. This is going to be interesting.
This is, and it's very impressive that Mike Skinner could make up that much ground on these trucks. Started back about 13th, just about 5 laps ago, 3 or 4 laps ago, and has moved up to 4th.
He has come through this traffic in spectacular fashion. As we watch the 24 truck of Sprague continuing to struggle a little bit on 7 cylinders, but not losing any ground to Doug George. Behind him, Ricky Johnson has not been able to figure out a passing opportunity to take the Red Dog number 15 around Jack Sprague and pick up a position.
Now there's a pretty good battle between the 44 Brian Rippler, Ralph Rizzo in the 27, and Mike Bliss in the 2.
Not had a chance to talk about Rizzo today, this youngster out of New York. Dad owns a car dealership. He got a little damage on the right front there as he's done the bump and run, but kid's only, 22 years old and already has top 5 finish in Trans Am to his credit. SCCA road racing. Now he's got a truck and he's ready to get out there and try to do some business with it.
So Mike Bliss is going to try to drive up on the outside of Rizzo. And meanwhile, he drives up on the back bumper of the 44, and Bliss gets out. Does he put it out?
Going around, didn't it? Looks like it. Bliss manages to gather it back up but loses a lot of ground in the process. You see the gap back to Mike Bliss with Rizzo between our 2 onboard cameras.
I'm told that Mike Skinner did get by Joe Ruttman to take over the 3rd spot.
An impressive run here for Mike Skinner, who clouded the tire wall just before the halftime break. These are the leaders. When did Resendez turn into such a great road racer?
I don't know. He told me back in the wintertime that he loved road racing. I said, well, why? You don't do very good at it. And he started telling me about road courses that he'd run on. And, I was impressed with listening to his resume. I didn't think that he was that good a road racer. But listening to him, he convinced me he's pretty good. And today, he's further convinced me that he is a road racer.
I'll tell you what, when you come here and kick Hornaday around on this racetrack, you're going to be a heck of a road racer.
And he did pick up the halfway Gatorade money. So this might be the best run of the year for Dave Resendez in the QVC truck.
Rutman trying to hang on to Skinner. Here's the interval back from second to third. Rutman with his best qualifying run in a long time. Started fourth, and he's right back where he started. We'll take a break. We'll go back with more. Great place to get the complete summary of the weekend's racing action would be RPM tonight. Check it out tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN 2. Kenny Mayne will have all the highlights of the UAW GM 500 from Charlotte. And the rest of the action around the racing world, probably a highlight or two from the truck race.
And don't forget Monday through Friday at 7 o'clock Eastern, RPM Today.
With John Kernan and periodic appearances by the Professor, Benny Parsons. You have some fun on that show.
Yes, I do. Here's a good battle between Brian Refner, the 40 Tornado Select Truck, and Mike Bliss. And Refner almost gets off the course, and Bliss almost ran the wall trying to dodge the ring, but he didn't wreck.
Dueling camera cars at that for the last spot in the top 10.
And John Nemechek is there, too. Whoa.
John says, I don't have a camera. I'm going to pass both you guys and get out in front, and then you can show pictures of my truck. This is out the back of Refner, Cintas Rookie of the Year candidate. That's going to tighten up a little bit because George is the other guy he's battling for position, and George is 4 positions, now 5 positions ahead of him on the racetrack. This is how Refner's truck looks from off the back of Bliss's machine.
They always look good fading off into getting smaller and smaller.
That's exactly the view that you want to create, and for the moment, Bliss is successful in doing that. So Bliss is finally heading to the front. In the event that he finds his way to the front, well, this is what he would see. The number 7 QVC Ford has really emerged as a dominant force here in the second half of this race. Pulled away from Hornaday. There you see the interval. Hornaday, in turn, now some 4 seconds in front of Mike Skinner, and that gap is closing. So Skinner may yet be the story, although it gets a whole lot closer to pass those front guys. A whole lot tougher to catch and pass those front guys.
Yeah, the ground's a lot harder to plow when you get this close to the front than it was back there.
Pretty well zipped right through the back half of the top 10. Skinner did. They've obviously put that truck back in ship shape. Will Lynn and the gang doing a great job during the halftime break after Skinner clobbered the tire wall with it. But Resendez, who's been the class act of the second half of this race after winning the season's opener down at Homestead, Florida, is settling into 7th spot in the point standing. Number 7 is the fastest cat out there today.
He must like these birthdays. It must be something special to him to try to run this well on his birthday. 37 years old today is the driver of the 7 QVC truck. 7's in that story.
There go your top 3. The best race is for 4th, and here it comes. Rutman has now been caught by Pirelli, George, and Sprague, and they're having a 4-truck battle right before your eyes.
Rutman's truck is really fading now. Ran so well in the beginning. Let's take a look at the field summary. Check out where your favorite truck driver is running.
Appeared in danger of losing a lap. That was Ricky Johnson who kicked up some dust there but managed to get back on the road. Schrader has managed to stay on the lead lap and is in 16th spot as he makes his first appearance in the Truck Series.
Doug George took a look just a moment ago on the inside of Pirelli, could not quite get position. So they'll charge down to turn 7, use all the brakes they got, try not to run over somebody, and see if they can gain position, get position. Can't do it.
Rutman tells a great story about the first time he ever came to this racetrack. He developed such a reputation as a road racer because he ran so well at Riverside. And Buddy Baker, knowing that reputation, the first time the Cup cars came here, called Rutman on the phone and spent 5 minutes, according as Joe tells the story, spent 5 minutes telling Joe what a great road racer he was, and finished by saying, "Will you drive my truck at Sears Point?" Joe said, "Sure." Well, the punchline of the story is that they met for breakfast the first morning of practice to conclude the deal, and as they left the hotel, Buddy said, "Which way do I go?" And Rutman says, "I don't know, I've never been here." Buddy said, "What do you mean you've never been here? I thought you were a great California road racer." "Well, I am. I've never been to this place." So it was a bit of a surprise for Buddy that day. Rutman, in the meantime, has now fallen back into the clutches. Got a bit of a gap that time. He did a pretty good run through 11 and opened up about a 5 or 6 truck length separation to Pirelli, George, Sprague, and the rest of his pursuers. We're going to take a break and continue with the action as Resendez leads the Kragen 151. live truck action. Coming up next, we've got college football, Georgia versus Mississippi State. A lot of you were late joining our telecast because of the baseball game, so it's all a trade-off. Baseball runs late, racing runs late, then football gets started. It all works out in the end. Bottom line, we're approaching the second of our competition yellows, which will be an opportunity to refuel and adjust these trucks, but not change tires. And we should be within, what, Benny, about 3 laps away. Speaking of competition, we got some right here. You're looking out the back of Ruffner's truck as he continues to try to hold off John Nemechek, and that battle's been going on for a lot of laps.
For several laps. I think that's Jimmy Hensley right behind him in the Mopar truck. Yes, it is. He tries to close in on them. This is down through the carousel. It's John Nemechek trying to get a run. And he come off the corner, shift gears, head up to turn 7. Now slam on the brakes. Going on the inside. Look out, there he is.
You didn't hear you say slam on the brakes?
Oh, we're going back on the inside of him again. Hope we don't run out of real estate there. Well, we didn't.
Good. Position scrap between Nemechek, who's had his best qualifying run in a long time here, as he started in 6th spot.
Oh, he missed the corner there. There comes Dorsey Schrader. They broke the front sway bar. They welded the thing back together. He is now in 16th spot. Did not lose a lap, but he is not making progress to the front. So,
and you're saying if you just joined us, why not Butch Miller? Well, Butch out of that truck as of Tuesday. Started the number 28 truck here, which of course is the Mark Simo No Fear owned truck. And Miller started that, and then Simo got in and was looking forward to this long. He got the truck and immediately broke. And he is out with a broken rear end. The other retiree is Horton J, who has blown the engine. They're the only 2 trucks being officially reported out. So, no, here's Nemechek with trouble.
right front tire is flat. Right front tire is flat on that truck.
Couldn't do a lot of steering there for a moment, but now he has gathered it back up. Now, he was just in that great battle with Refner, but for the moment, that'll leave Refner all alone, and Hornaday is really closing it down on Resendiz.
What is going on with Resendiz? Hornaday is right there. Remember, he had a 4-second lead? It's nothing now, just a couple of truck lengths. Marty Reed, what's going on with the 7th truck?
Well, guys, we've got a situation where we're getting close to that 3rd competition yellow, and the team tells me that they're just letting it breathe a little bit. They know they're going to be closed back up. Now, we'll tell if they're telling the truth, whether or not he holds on to the lead.
Well, logic then would follow that Hornaday has slowed down for the same reason, because Skinner is catching him. They are, in fact, going to be all bunched up within the next lap or 2 as they stop to refuel the trucks, and Resendiz almost got her in the dirt.
Oh, baby. I tell you what, these trucks do not handle in the dirt at all. The black stuff is the best place to be, and here comes Hornaday, almost gets alongside to try to take the lead away.
Hornaday certainly appeared to be fully intending to go on by Resendiz, approaching yellow or not, and there is the interval back to the 3rd place truck of Mike Skinner. Just to clarify a moment ago, we mentioned those were the only 2 trucks out of the race. The last 2 trucks out of the race, of course, we had Rich Bickle with that big crash for one, who went out in spectacular fashion. Mark Montanos had mechanical problems that sidelined him. 36 truck of Lonnie Cox broke early with ignition difficulties. Also out Mark Rove, who had ignition problems early on. Nemechek has come in for the obvious problem, the right front tire. Tough break for him. Did a nice job of saving that truck. It looked like he was going in the wall, but he managed to gather it back up. What was a couple of seconds lead has shrunk to a couple of truck lengths here as Resendiz tries to hold on to the yellow. I'm not 100% convinced that he might not have a bit of an ill-handling truck to deal with here, but they do have the option of adjusting it. And Hornaday wants him. He went into the dirt there trying to get the inside line exiting the corner.
Hornaday has been using the dirt going in turn 7 practically this last half. Here's Brian Refner as he tries to hold off. Is that Jimmy Hensley in the 30 truck? Does that look like a Dodge Ram?
Yeah, I believe that's right.
And Bill Cedric is trying to get by Hensley. That's a battle for 11th, 12th, and 13th.
Refner's been in a race all day long. He's had somebody to battle with that onboard camera from the get-go. As soon as Nemechek fades out of the picture, here comes Hensley after him.
Is that 32 truck or the 02? That's 02 Rick McCray following that group.
Rick's doing a pretty good job keeping up.
He is doing a good job, running 14th right now.
Ray, a veteran of the West Coast road racing wars. He's been doing this a lot of years, got as much experience probably on this racetrack as anybody out there, with the possible exception of Hornaday. We're going to get in a quick commercial break. The yellow flag will come out momentarily for the competition caution, the final opportunity to refuel the trucks. Tuned in for football that will be coming up. Georgia versus Mississippi State. The Bulldogs and the Bulldogs. Mississippi State, of course, got that hot tailback Kiefer McGee. What's he averaging? 180 or 190 points a game or something?
That's yards.
Yards. Yeah, right, not points. Yeah. Anyway, Mike Adamley will be in the studio, and that'll all be coming up here immediately following the conclusion of the race. We'll stay with it to the finish. Ooh, we got trouble. Rick Johnson into the tire barrier. He was having a great run. He was sitting in 8th spot at the time of the crash and had been in a battle most of the day. Done a good job from 13th starting spot. Man, he's splattered.
Where is he? Where's the racetrack?
That's a long way from the racetrack.
Oh, I see.
There he is. Yeah,
in the carousel. Okay.
And he got up over the wall, and boy, from that camera angle, it looked like he was a quarter of a mile from the course. The caution will come out. The timing is good. They were due for a caution at this juncture anyway. The trucks were about out of fuel, but it's going to take a while to get Ricky Johnson out of that dilemma. Until Jeremy McGrath came along, he owned all the records for Supercross competition victories. You see the Supercross series, of course, here on ESPN. Ricky was its last big star. Jeremy McGrath came along and rewrote the record book as Ricky moved on into the trucks.
How do you get there? Man, oh man, how in the world did he get all the way over there? All right, now, these trucks will not run 30 laps on fuel. So NASCAR, in trying to prevent the cost, tell the teams they'll have a yellow flag and they can come in and do what they want to do, and they've got about 3 or 4 minutes to do it as the pace car goes around the racetrack and runs the caution lap. They can go in, they cannot change tires, but they can put fuel in the truck, and that's what they will do, and that's called a competition yellow. It closes the field back up. Now, Mike Skinner is just a couple of truck lengths behind the leader.
Now let's see if we can figure out here what happened to Ricky Johnson.
There we see Corelli, and we see some smoke out of the back of Corelli's car as Doug George follows him. And the 24.
Ricky Johnson's behind these guys. Got out of shape. No indication of what triggered that, but that is a fast hunk of racetrack to run off of. And once you get in the dirt, you're helpless. Once you get the tire wall, you're in trouble. Once you get over the tire wall, now call a record. And they have done that for Ricky Johnson, so we will combine the Johnson yellow with the competition yellow, refuel the trucks, and get set for the finish. Stay with us. We are in the competition yellow here at Sears Point Raceway as we approach the conclusion of the Kragen 151. And this guy has been on the move. Lap 23, Mike Skinner was in 21st position. He is now 3rd. As
they've got the hood up on the 16 truck. Hornaday's truck has the hood up, and they're 2 or 3, and they look like they're...
The previous problem, of course, was in the rear end. They were concerned about an overflow from the rear end, but now they've gone under the hood. Again, if you're new to truck racing, they do not swap positions under yellow. They line the trucks back up in the order they were running when the caution came out. You don't want to go a lap down. There's no indication that that would happen to Hornaday, but Marty Reed is on his way to find out what the problem is here.
What did Resendez do, Marty, on his pit stop?
Oh, guys, this was the smoothest pit stop we've seen all year long. They literally put fuel in, gave him a drink, and that was it, and they sent him back out. I'm down here at the Hornaday pit, and they are working on the right front, trying to find out what is wrong, and I'll get right back to you as soon as I talk to somebody.
That would seem to confirm the report that we had prior to the caution, that Resendi's truck was in good shape, that he was merely breathing a little bit, knowing that the caution was coming out anyway. Long stop for Hornaday. Now they made some progress in getting Rick Johnson loose here. He was pretty well stuck up there on the backside of the tire wall. They've at least got him down onto flat ground now. Bill Sedgwick ended up on top of the tire wall in practice here, and hurt his truck a little bit, but he reported back afterward. He said to the safety workers, "Don't wreck my truck here with your wrecker, because I've got to race this thing before the weekend is out." So the point being that they can, in fact, do some damage trying to get him down off that wall. Football game is next. Georgia, Mississippi State. Stay with us. Quick as the truck race is complete, we'll be getting to the gridiron action. Marty, the latest on 16 Hornaday.
Yeah, they did a camber adjustment on the right front, so hopefully that's going to help the handling a little bit. They, remember Ron said during the interview they weren't quite sure what the truck was doing because they've been having so many different problems they couldn't figure out which one to work on first.
Hornaday is coming out of this in great shape in terms of the championship points. Boy, I tell you, Johnson's bunch got some work to do here. He's dragging half the tires around with him as the safety workers push him back to pit road. Hornaday, who came in here with the point lead, 91 points, but having lost a big chunk of that lead last week at North Wilkesboro, appeared to be in danger of losing more of it here today, but for the moment, he is in second spot. The only truck in front of him is Resendiz, and he need not worry about Resendiz in terms of the championship. We'll take a break and be right back. Thank you, Mike. We welcome you back to Sears Point Raceway, Sonoma, California. Approaching the closing laps here of the Kragen 151. Woolly afternoon at Sears, and now we have some 13 laps, 12 laps remaining. We anticipate as we get to the restart here to figure out who's going to have the best truck at the end. Dave Despain and Benny Parsons on hand to bring you the action. Marty Reed covering it down pit side, and the lights are still on the pace car, indicating they'll go at least one more lap. There are the two guys who started on the front row, the 16 and the 3, Hornaday and Skinner, as they will now restart in second and third positions respectively behind Dave Resendiz, who has emerged from 8th spot as the strongest truck in the late running here to take the lead. Find your favorite driver as we work our way back down through the field.
The numbers on the right side will, in the parentheses, will tell you where the driver
will join the ball game immediately after the race. It's Georgia versus Mississippi State on the gridiron here on the 2.5-mile course at Sears Point Raceway. It's Resendiz versus Hornaday versus Skinner. We're set for the restart. The field come off turn 11, looking for the green from Chris Morgan. Resendiz holds him way down on the restart speed, hoping to get a jump over Hornaday, one of the best restart artists in the business. There they go. Worked out pretty well for Resendiz.
But Hornaday closes up right on the back bumper of the QVC Ford. Back tailgate, I should say. Turn 2. Accelerate off. Up to turn 3, a left-hander. Right now, I think it's Resendiz's best opportunity to get by. While the tires are cool, if he can get by now, Resendiz might not be able to get back by. But it looks like on hot tires that Resendiz's truck is superior.
Remember, they did not touch that truck during the break. They just put fuel in it. Marty's with Ricky Johnson.
Yeah, and his eyes are a little bit smaller than probably they were when you went flying off the course. You told us we let everybody know. You take us through what happened.
Well, first I got to really compliment the Blue Bandit and the Red Dog team. Team Penske, we all came together. We blew a motor yesterday or this morning, or yesterday, blew one after in the late practice. We came out with a good motor. We worked our way up to the front, and I just kind of bided my time, but about 3 laps before that, I felt that I didn't really have much rear brake. What I was trying to do was coast more into the turn and not use up so much brake, because I sort of felt my front started locking up. And I wasn't sure about it, so just trying to pick up the pace a little bit more. Came over the top, and you got a hump there. Went to get off the brakes, all I had was front brakes, and when that happens, it just drove me straight off the track. I was turning, trying to feather the brake to get it to turn, but I just augered it straight into the wall. So, maybe I should have read into it a little sooner, maybe finished a little further back instead of not finishing at all.
Well, at least you're okay, and there's always another race. We'll see you then.
Yeah, I'm going to be at the next Bakersfield, and, Red Dog's going to be with me in Vegas, so we're going to be doing good there.
Side by side for second spot. Skinner got alongside Hornaday for a moment. Hornaday was able to hang on. Resendiz is pulling away from them out front, and Rick Corelli, who has run as high as 5th today, has been black flagged. He was sent to the rear of the field on the restart for speeding on pit road. Then we understand he was found guilty of passing on the wrong side on the restart, so he's now been black flagged for another penalty. It's been a great day up till then.
Man, oh man. Right now, I think Skinner sees Resendiz get in the way, and he feels like he has a faster truck than does Hornaday. If he can get by him, maybe he can get up to Resendiz and battle for the lead. But getting by Hornaday is the problem right now.
Hornaday doing a great job leading Skinner by 91 in the points. He's managed to survive all the difficulties today, keep that truck in the top two all day. So in terms of the championship, even if Skinner gets around him and he loses those 5 spots, and Skinner is taking a look around the outside right here as Hornaday takes his traditional down through the dirt entrance to the turn at the top of the hill. Even if Skinner gets around him and there's a 5-point difference with the remaining races, Hornaday remains in the driver's seat in terms of winning this championship. They both get a little bit in the dirt as they come down through the S's.
And we can see that Skinner got his truck side. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he blew up. He had something there. The 7 truck hit dirt or something and threw it up. And I thought he had blown up.
We have a caution flag on the racetrack. The caution is out as Skinner dives down to the inside of Hornaday. Remember, they do not race back to the yellow. So let's see what's going to happen here in terms of position. Theoretically, Hornaday should get his spot back.
And Skinner just backs off once Hornaday
go by, yeah. So we'll see what the yellow is for. It is the 6th of the day. It comes at lap 52 of 60. Hornaday says, I got in front of Resendiz here for a little bit and see how that feels. I have forgotten how. But the team of Barnett and Christensen are standing by saying, man, I wish that racing hurry up to get over. Not unlike the way Parsons and Despain were feeling when the baseball game ran along. We will be joining Georgia versus Mississippi State immediately following the checkered flag here and the conclusion of this 151-mile battle, the Kragen 151 at Sears Point Raceway. Under caution, we'll come back in just a moment. Stay with us. Back at Sears Point Raceway, 11 turns, 2.5 miles, winding through the hills of the wine country outside Sonoma, California. And the guy who has wound the most effectively today has been Dave Resendiz. He kind of bided his time, worked his way up from 8th spot, took the lead about midway, and Benny, he's been untouchable ever since.
The truck has looked like it's just been perfect all day long. So Resendiz has doing a heck of a job, and the crew that set the truck up also obviously did a great job.
The guys behind him have had rather eventful afternoons. Hornaday with a variety of difficulties, not least of which was an overflow problem on the rear end. We are going to football immediately following the conclusion of the race. Georgia and Mississippi State coming up next.
By the way, the caution flag, we're told, is for oil in the S's.
That's a bad place to hit oil, believe me. Sears Point Raceway. On a Saturday afternoon, the Nascar Craftsman Truck Series come to town for the Kragen 151, 151 miles. That's 60 laps of this circuit. And the man who was lapping most effectively, Resendiz, sitting at the top of the heap. The guy who has gained the most in terms of comparison to potential here today is definitely Mike Skinner. He was as low as 21st at one point. After running off the road and clobbering the tire wall, he has scrambled back to 3rd spot, and that was a pretty strategic charge in terms of the championship. The rest of the way, yeah, we got Bakersfield coming up October 13th, half-mile short track race, and then the mile oval at Phoenix, and the wrap-up on the mile-and-a-half track at Las Vegas. That's the new super speedway out there. That'll be the longest course that these guys have run on. It ought to be a wild show. That's a great racetrack.
It ought to be a terrific show. Seeing some of the IndyCar footage from Las Vegas, it looked tremendous.
Everybody has raved about the surface. What a great job they did paving that racetrack. They didn't have every last detail completed in time for the IndyCar race, which opened that new facility, but it was pretty obvious to everybody who was there that this is definitely the look of the future in terms of racetracks. Georgia and Mississippi State Southeast Conference football action coming up next on ESPN2. Stay tuned for that. The race laps are winding down here. We look for the restart to come at the beginning of lap 53, and I think a couple of guys who deserve a mention here. Mike Bliss, you just saw the number 2 truck roll through the frame. He has moved up to 7th position, and Bliss has been very consistent today. Here you're on board with Mike. He started in 14th spot. A little wild to watch in some occasions, but the payoff has come with a 7th place position here on the restart. Set to go back to green. Dave Rezendes leads the show. He has the championship contenders, Ron Hornaday and Mike Skinner, filling his mirrors. Joe Ruttman is 4th in line. Doug George 5th. Jack Sprague, the other contender for the championship, is in 6th spot and has been struggling all day, limping around on 7 cylinders, but he limps quick, and he's a good limper.
He does very, very well. And here they come. The pace car is away from the field. Rezendes brings them down. He accelerates. They're off. Green flag is out.
Rezendes seems to be the match for Hornaday on the restarts, and Hornaday is known as the best in the business. Here's Sprague trying to make an inside move on George as they come up the hill and set himself up for that right-hander. Now, couldn't quite get there. Hornaday, meanwhile, all over Rezendes for the lead. Hornaday looking for the opening, looking for the opportunity. The man who's supposed to win here in Sears Point, the guy who comes to this racetrack with the big reputation, is currently sitting in 2nd spot behind the former New England modified driver, who somewhere along the line has learned how to road race pretty effectively. Dave Rezendes still at the point.
The carousel, and here's where Rezendes seems to really shine with a QVC truck. That's where he needs to shine. Oh, here comes Hornaday taking a look on the outside. We know he's not going on the outside. We all know he's not going on the outside.
Unless, of course, we happen to have seen the re-air of the Sonoma 100 Winston West race. I'm not going to tell you that. You have to watch. You have to watch. But believe me, Hornaday on the outside in that corner can be spectacular. Now they come down through the S's. You got to wonder if Hornaday saves something for the end here. Rezendes had pulled away to a big lead during the long run prior to that caution, while Skinner had run both of them down. Now, as we get to the late laps, it's time to pull out the stops, and Skinner looks outside. That's the long way around turn 11.
And who's going to come out? Looks like Hornaday, but here comes Skinner. Now, this is really played into Rezendes' hands. Really, if they keep these guys racing and let him get away, man, we're home free.
And these are the guys battling for the championship. Skinner, the reigning champion. Hornaday, the current point leader. Further back, the green and white Quaker State number 24 of Jack Sprague, who had closed within 7 points of Skinner after the North Wilkesboro festivities of a week ago. Sprague, as we said, has been limping here today.
Now, Hornaday and Skinner have got to be very, very careful, because there's still 17 trucks in the lead lap. And just think we're going to see the leaders. There he comes, Rezendes. These fellas have to be careful. There's still 17 trucks in the lead lap. They get racing, they make contact, and one of them slide off the course. They can lose 100 points probably.
Just like that. And that is more than the margin of difference. Hornaday leads by 91. He lost some 45 points, was it, off the lead last week. And we see some smoke from the back of the 16, although I think that time it was off the brakes.
That's brakes.
Hornaday was using them up pretty good there.
Well, he slid the tire. That was tire smoke that we saw there. And now he is pulled away from Skinner. Bad news for Rezendes. Good news for Hornaday.
Hornaday focusing his full attention on the guy in front of him. He doesn't have to worry about racing in the mirrors for the moment. Although in terms of the championship, the significant guy is the guy behind him, not the guy in front of him. Rezendes is 7th in points. So he is not a threat to Hornaday's championship hopes. I'll tell you what, though, Hornaday's got a lot of pride, and he wants to win at this racetrack. He is the pre-race favorite, and he says he doesn't necessarily think that's fair. But the flip side of that is he badly wants the victory here today, and he's driven hard all day.
And a Ford has never won a truck race on a road course. In the 2 years that the Nascar Craftsman Truck Series has been in existence, it's all Chevrolets on the road courses.
In fact, all Skinner and Hornaday, they've won the previous 4. So as we come from here today to a racetrack where Hornaday dominated a year ago. He's got one guy he's got to get handled here. Here's Corelli. We talked about his problems. He has twice been penalized. Apparently there's a clutch problem on the number 6, and his crew's a little unhappy with NASCAR because they didn't think they deserved the penalty. They felt they were helpless because of the clutch problem, although they don't quite understand why a clutch problem would force you to speed down pit road, but I suppose there was a reason for it.
Well, they had to push the car off in gear, I think, and when it caught, he simply got going faster than the 45-mile-per-hour speed. This is a battle for 11th spot as we see a field summary. And Corelli's going to drive up on the... No, he's not.
That free phone number, by the way, is the number you call to get information, not necessarily about Lance Norrick, the guy driving this truck, but about the entire truck series. It's all part of the effort to make people better aware of a comparatively new series, only been around a couple of years, but boy, it has sure generated a lot of interest.
As Corelli tries his best to get position on Lance Norrick. This truck is sponsored by Mecklenburg Dunkin'. You need to do caulking around your bathroom? That's what they do. And here goes Corelli. Does he have the brakes he needs?
He's got position.
These brakes now, lots of brakes.
Takes it away right on around the inside. We need a house, check with Rick. New sponsor on that truck is Remax.
And there's Rick McRae in the 02 truck trying to get by Lance Norrick. They're side by side. Oh, baby. We saw Rich Bickle go side by side, but he takes the spot away from Norrick.
Well, that's a scary place to do that because if the truck doesn't turn in properly, you get yourself in big trouble in a big hurry. Bickle okay after the big crash that he had. Here's Sedgwick, Bill Sedgwick, another veteran of the Winston West series that drives for Darrell Walter. Currently in 14th spot here as we pick up some of the action back further in the back and document the progress, or in some cases the lack of progress. Sedgwick, in his case, going forward. Started 22nd, running 14th.
Turn 7. Here's our leaders. Resendez. Oh, he's smoking that right front end. Boy, Hornaday really smoking that right front.
Nobody laying back in this pair at this point.
No. As they close in on Walker Evans.
Significantly, Skinner does not seem able to sustain the pace that these two guys are running. The interval from the second place truck, the number 16, back to the third place, number 3, seems to be stable. Out the back for Walker Evans. There goes Resendez. And right behind him, Hornaday. Football next. Stay tuned. You dialed up the news tonight to see Georgia versus Mississippi State. Yeah, you're in the right place. It's coming your way next. Just a moment ago, we saw Sedgwick and a bit of smoke from the truck just as we left that shot. Thought it might be brakes. Apparently not. Something more serious than that because Sedgwick has stopped on course.
And he's off the racetrack, though. That's coming off the carousel. When he came off carousel, he turned right and got out of harm's way. So I don't think that will necessitate a caution flag.
And no, he didn't hit the Craftsman toolbox. It had deflated a lap or two earlier. So the battle will continue up front as Hornaday tries to figure out what to do with Dave Resendez here. And I'll tell you what, he is using every bit of the road and half the surrounding landscape trying to make a dent into that lead, and it just isn't happening, Benny.
And look, don't look now for Skinner who's coming back. It's like he just said, okay, I'm going to cool my tires, I'm going to do something, and wait a couple of laps to go, and that's exactly what it is. Maybe he's got a brake problem. You know, he did a lot of damage to the front air dam on that truck when he got the tire barrier. He might have knocked the brake hoses off that truck. He might have been losing his brakes. No coolant going to the brakes, no cool air going to it would cause the brakes to overheat. That could possibly be the problem. Now, just a couple laps ago, he's going to use those brakes again and see if he can catch these fellas.
Skinner making a charge at him. He wants that second consecutive championship. He's 91 points out of the lead. He needs to put Hornaday behind him. What he really needs is for Hornaday to have a problem here, but Skinner, for his own part, the best he can hope for is to pass those two guys in front of him, pick up the resultant 10 points, and look ahead to next week as they stay out here on the West Coast and hope for the opportunity to somehow gobble up that point difference. But 91 is pretty significant with just 3 races remaining after the day. Just at the halfway point. It's a 60-lap battle. He took the lead at lap 30 and has held it since. He missed that corner.
Lost about a couple of tenths to Hornaday.
Meanwhile, Skinner got to the rear deck of Hornaday for a moment. No holding back now. Use everything you got. Use everything you brought all the way to the West Coast, because the laps are all but gone. 58 are complete. They're working 59. 60 is the distance. Less than 2 to go. Hornaday run through the turn at the entrance to the turn at the top of the hill. He's done that every lap all day long, seemingly without penalty.
Evidently, he has found the groove that his truck works best going through that corner, and it's through the dirt. Now here comes Skinner.
All of a sudden, it's a race for second again. Just like this 5 laps ago. Hornaday got away from Skinner. Now Skinner has pulled out the stops.
Hornaday moves over to take that premier spot away, so Skinner tries to go on the outside. Now, who can get off the corner best? Man, it's side by side for a second spot. White flag.
In good shape for the left-hander as they take the white flag. The difference is about half a fender. Hornaday will not give it up easily.
He's not going to give up. Here they come, and Hornaday's going to keep that second spot.
Wow.
Man, oh man.
Everything I know about road racing says Skinner should have been able to get around him there.
That's exactly right. Hornaday just refused to give away that second spot.
Inside the final lap, as Hornaday and Skinner battle each other, Resendiz pulling away. Trying to become the first Ford driver to win on the road course. Trying to win his first race since the opener of the year. Resendiz, or check that, is the third race of the season. He's won twice. He's been consistent.
He won at Bristol, didn't we? Remember?
That's it. Yeah, that race we did at ESPN. 10 times in the top 10. And now Dave Resendiz demonstrating his strength as a road racer. We joke about it, but he's done a great job here today.
He's done a terrific job.
Very consistent.
Hornaday's using all he's got right now, trying just to get to the 7 car.
He's gotten away from Skinner a little bit.
Coming down through the S's for the last time. Right-hander. Oh, Hornaday's trying. He's in the dirt. He's trying. Just let me get close to it.
He makes me nervous. Every time he comes down through there, kicking up the dust. Resendiz is a turn away from home.
Okay, brakes don't fail me now, says Resendiz. Makes a nice line in the corner. There's no way Hornaday can't catch him unless the car brakes. Truck brakes between here and the start-finish line.
Headed for home, Dave Resendiz in a QVC Ford that Jeff Bodine owned. The race truck comes home with the road course victory here at Sears Point, the first on the road courses for Ford. Meanwhile, Mike Skinner unable to close down very much in terms of the championship as Hornaday hangs on for second. Be sure to check the re-air for the complete telecast tonight, 10 o'clock, tomorrow, 10 o'clock in the morning, or Friday at 7:30 Eastern Time. As you take a look at the results, Benny, we saw a heck of a race here today.
We saw a couple of great races today. This truck race was stupendous. Resendiz, first victory for Ford in 2 years. First and on a road course, I should say, as we look at the rest of the results.
All right, let's get off to the football game. Dave Barnett and Todd Christensen are standing by with all the action. Georgia versus Mississippi State. So let's get to the gridiron. Dave Resendiz, who began his truck career as crew chief for Jeff Bodine and now has emerged as the driving star, has won his first career truck road race. Let's go to Marty.
Hey, Dave, I know you feel 10 feet tall, but I can't talk to you up there that high. Should I start singing Happy Birthday to you?
Hey, that's not a bad birthday present, huh?
Tell me about this. I mean, you gave me a little wink, and the guys didn't lie to me. They said you were saving the car, the truck, and you did.
Well, I got quite a ways ahead, and I'm looking back. I'm like, where is everybody? Did they pit? It seemed like we couldn't do anything wrong. We really played with air pressure a lot. Thanks, Danny and the guys, and Jeff's helped us a bunch with playing with that kind of stuff, but I don't know. I mean, we were kind of lost here when we first got here, and we were loose, kind of like everybody else, but we remembered a few things we did back at Wilkesboro, and we did it, and it worked. So what can I say, you know?
Well, all I know is I won't sing because I know how bad I sound, but happy birthday, guys. Take it.
60-lap race. He led the last 30. They may have been lost early. They certainly found their way home, Benny.
Here we look at the unofficial results. Hornaday, Skinner, Rutman, George, Sprague, Bliss, Refner, Corelli, Henson in the top 10, Rizzo, McRae, Norick, Kenny Allen at 14th, and Sean Fox at 15th.
Significantly, Hornaday does not allow his challengers to close in the race for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship. We'll take a look at the standings as we head for home here. Hornaday managing to extend his lead to 96 over Skinner and 118 over Jack Sprague. Our thanks to Marty Reed for his hard work on pit road. Always a pleasure to share the booth with Benny Parsons. Congratulations and happy birthday to the Kragen 151 winner. Dave Rezendes comes home as the king of Sears Point this afternoon. I'm Dave Despain. So long, everyone.